Welcome back to What Happened Philippines. This is Ellie, and today's episode we talk about when a Filipina finally says no. Why the world doesn't listen. There's only one word. This word is called boundaries. But in this culture and in this kind of relationship, that word becomes dangerous. So what happens when a Filipina finally says, no more? This is abuse. I want my life back. And in the system, the people and even her own community turns its back. What would a Filipina do? Let's begin with this abuse that they do not see. We know what physical violence looks like, but what about psychological abuse? What about manipulation? What about gaslighting? The control masked as love. In interracial relationships, especially with powerful or well-connected foreign men, the Filipina becomes often silenced party. She's called dramatic, emotional, bitter. But what if she's just brave enough to say no? I remember the moment I said no. After funding his visa, his career, his lifestyle, after being lied to, disrespected, and used, I finally drew the line. But instead of support, I was mocked, blamed, ignored. And he traveled freely. He started fresh. He was still the guest, and I was the scandal. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The Philippine system is often not designed to protect its own, especially if the abuser is foreign. Deportation? That's rare, dude. Justice? It's delayed or even denied. You hear phrases like, mahirap yan, foreigner kasi, wala tayong laban dyan. So what happens? The Filipina is left to rebuild on her own, to prove she wasn't stupid, to explain what shouldn't need explaining. Meanwhile, the foreigner walks away free, untouched by the consequences he left behind. Why does he get more freedom on our soil than the woman born from it? Why does the law bend for his convenience and break the spirit of the Filipina trying to survive? You know, in our families, saying no is often seen as rebellion. In relationship, it's seen as disrespect. But for a Filipina in a interracial dynamic, saying no can feel like war. She risked her relationship. She risked her community. She even risked her dignity because she'll be blamed before she's believed. And if she walk away, she's called bitter, broken, a failure. But what if walking away is the bravest thing she's ever done? Where do we go when even our own people don't want to hear our pain? Who do we run to when the justice system tells us to just move on? Where is the space where Filipinas no is treated as sacred, not defiant? So, let's reframe it, okay? Saying no is a love letter to yourself. No is not the end, it's the beginning. No says, I know what I deserve. I will not be your project. I will not carry the shame of your choices. Saying no is sacred. It's a boundary that tells the world, I am no longer for sale. I am no longer for exploitation. I am finally choosing myself. When the system doesn't listen, we make our own microphone. When the courts doesn't fight for us, we tell our story anyway. And maybe the question now isn't just what happened. Maybe it's what needs to happen so the Philippines finally listen to its daughters. So what happened, Philippines? What happens when a Filipina finally says no? Everyone asks her to justify it, to soften it, to apologize for it. But this episode is your reminder. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. So, to every Filipina who walked away from what didn't honor her, to every woman who said no and was met with silence, To every survivor who still is rebuilding, this one's for you. So what happened